Okay, and let's do some wave breathing. So hand on the belly, one hand on the chest, breathe into the belly, into the ribs, and then up into the top of the chest. As you breathe out, top of the chest, ribs, belly. We'll do an in and out through the mouth, and making your out breath a little bit longer than your in breath. Maybe do a 5-6 or a 6 in, a 7 out, whichever works best for you. Breath into your belly as it expands through the ribs, up into the top of the chest, out, chest sinks, ribs sink, belly goes back towards the spine. And 2 more. So wave breathing is a full deep breath, and it's lovely to do at the beginning of the class because you get a lot of oxygen in, and when you start moving, you're going to be pumping that oxygen around the rest of the body. It's a lovely balancing breath. So if you were going to be busy during the day, and I see my neighbor's walking down the road, he wants to hammer a picture on my wall, and I'm going to have to wave him away, I think, and start and just stop him. Just hold it, hang on, 2 6, we'll start the class again. Pin up, pin up. I'm just starting a Qigong class. I'm just starting to Zoom a class. Can I see you tomorrow? Tomorrow? Thank you, sorry. Okay, guys. Sorry, welcome to Qigong. Do a couple of wave breaths, just maybe 5 wave breaths into the belly, into the ribs, into the chest. Out, chest, ribs, belly, in, belly, ribs, chest, out, chest, ribs, belly. In and out through the nose. One more. So lovely to do your wave breath at the beginning of class to get good fresh oxygen into the bloodstream. So as we move, we take it around the body to bring chi to all the cells in the body. And wave breathing is very nice, balanced breathing. So if you've got a busy day and keep losing focus, just come back and do a little bit of wave breathing again, just to settle into yourself. It's really nice to work with. So let's take the breath now into spinal cord breathing. We haven't done that for a while. So remember, you're going to arch your back, hollow your back there. Bring your elbows down so you stretch your pec minor muscles there. Keep your chin in. And then as you breathe out, going forwards, bring in your elbows back in and your tailbone rounded. Breathing in, open the front of your lungs. Breathing out, rounding the back of your lungs and tucking your tailbone in and dropping your head. In and out through the nose. So before we were just breathing, and now we're breathing and moving at the time, getting a lovely rhythm of the breath going. And we're circulating that oxygen we've been breathing in. But with our movement, we're actually pumping the cerebrospinal fluid, which nourishes the brain and nourishes spinal cord and all our nerve roots. And if you do this nice and slowly, you're probably going to feel quite a few creaks as you go through each vertebral joint in the spine. a very strong exercise, and it's a really good exercise to nourish your central nervous system and balance it. Let's do a rotation to each side. Get a little bit of rotation where the ribs join the spine at the back and forwards as you breathe out. And breathe in. Open, open, open. And breathe out. And relax. Good. Arms up at shoulder level. And we're not going to be clearing here. We're going to be rotating. So you're going to turn your arms and your spine to the side. Lift the opposite heel as you rotate. Breathing into one side and breathing out to the other side. Just easy, in and out through the nose or in and out through the mouth, whichever feels appropriate for you at this time. Breathe in, breathing out as you go back. In, breathe out. Now allow your arms to straighten out a little bit, straight but not straight. Same movement. Just feeling how you're gliding through the air. Let your eyes look behind as you turn. Gives you a nice rotation through your spine. Let your arms start coming further down and further down and further down and further down, further down. And from there we go into our old friend knocking on the door of life. And allow your heels to lift up as well, because you've got a nice rotation going here already. Knocking just below the belly button and on the door of life behind, opposite, just below the belly button. So giving a nice knock here. This is a wake-up exercise. You're knocking over the kidneys and the adrenal gland, giving you a little spurt of energy because it's going to release a bit of cortisol and adrenaline into your body. And if you're getting up in the morning, that's what you want. Bring one hand up into shoulder nest, just under the clavicle, other one staying behind your back. You're over the first and second rib here, so it's good for your immunity, good for your breathing, good for your lungs. In one hand, small of the neck, knocking over your trapezius here. Gallbladder 21 to clear the mind. Got headaches, so you're just a bit stagnant. This is nice to do. Back to shoulder nest. And back to the belly. So this is quite a strong exercise you're doing from here. And so this is a kind of yang exercise. So let's do it as a yin practice. Softly, water waves. Just imagine you're pulling your fingers through a nice clear lake or the sea. And as you're doing this, allow your mind to dip into your body. Maybe close your eyes for a second and notice the way your feet are moving on the ground. Notice how your shoulders feel, your elbows, your hands, as you're running your hands through the air. And relax. Shake it out a little bit. And let's move the body like a river. And you start off, just be very casual about it. You know you're taking the weight to one side and then the other. Your hips are going first. And then your thoracic spine is coming. And then your head is coming. So you're quite floppy initially. Just getting a sense of that rocking from side to side. And eventually, once you've loosened up a little bit, let your bottom sit back a little. Put hands on your thighs. And now we're going to stretch the adductors as we go to each side. Stretch through there, making this a little bit of a or strong exercise as we do that. And then remember hips, thorax, head, hips, body, head, and don't let your neck be stiff. It's very easy to move your hips. It's not so easy to move through the thoracic spine. And it's even more difficult to move through the neck and let it be nice and soft. Breathing into one side, breathing out to the other side. So we think of the movement we're doing, and then we say, hey, where's the breath? What's the breath doing? Keeps us in the present, keeps us in our body. Coming a little bit higher, and let's push the river. Just very slowly. Just stirring it up a little bit. Still getting your side movement. Side movement. Okay. Really looking for resilience this evening or this morning, depending where you're doing your class. Resilience and elasticity. Moving the blood. Moving the oxygen. Moving the chi, your bioelectricity. And then come down, hang down so you stretch your hamstrings, drop your head, hands on the ground if you can. And just let your body rest in this position for a couple of seconds. You can straighten your knees and give yourself a little bit more hammy stretch there for a few seconds. And then slowly roll up. Slowly, slowly, slowly. And when you get to the top, bring your hands right up. Stretch, stretch, stretch. And come on your toes for a couple of seconds. Some strength into your feet, into your arches. And down you come. We're going to do a move pulling the bow, and we'll just go through it slowly. It's a really nice way of doing it. So holding your bow, so over here you've got your thumb and your index finger forming tiger mouth, and the little finger, ring and middle finger are bent. So holding the bow, but with your little fingers pointing away from you. So instead of your hand being flat, it's turned up. This hand has pulled the bow, and you're going to let the arrow fly. So you're opening your chest here, okay? Now, when we change sides, this hand, the stretched out hand that's actually holding the wood part of the bow, is going to come over as the other hand goes under, and it's going to pull back. So just a couple of times. So this one comes on the top, and it pulls the bow as the other one goes out straight. And just get a feel of that. Extended hand comes on the top, and then it pulls back. There we go. So as we shoot, we sink down, and as we transition, we come up. And it's quite nice. You can either just go straight down, or as you pull, you can go to the one side. It's actually easier if your knees aren't that great to actually come to the side. So let's do a couple of those. So here, pulling the bow. So there's your tiger mouth, fingers curled back, and open the bow. As you open the bow, lean to the side, lean onto this leg. Okay, look into the distance as you're shooting there. And that will always be an out breath when you shoot, through the mouth. Now stand up as you transition. This hand comes over, and it pulls as the other hand goes out. Get your tiger mouth there, open there, sink down, look into the distance, hold that for a couple of seconds. Your outstretched hand comes over the top, and then it pulls the bow back. Standing up as you come up, and sinking down, and shooting the bow, shooting your arrow. Extended hand comes on top and crosses over, other one out, Look into the distance and relax. Down. Drop your head, stretch your hammies, let your neck hang down, let your head help to make a space in the cervical joints. And then slowly roll up again. Hands above, holding one wrist, and we go into full body stretch. So you're opening, you're stretching your groin, keeping your chin tucked in, and then slowly go down. Curling, curling, curling. Let your hands go between your legs so you stretch the back of the back. Roll up slowly. Stretch up, open the groin. Keep your chin tucked in. And down you go. Slowly come up. And this time as you come up, go to the side, all the way down to the side and across in front. And come up. And then in the opposite direction, over you go. Down. Coming up. And releasing. God, this is a lovely set to do in the early morning before you start your day. Probably do it in about 20 minutes. Okay, we're going to go with dragon with closed legs. So knees fairly close together so that you can still balance. And tailbone dropped, chin tucked in, and prayer position just above the top of the collarbone here. And so when we're going to do that, we're going to soften our knees and our hips, tailbone dropping down, chin tucked in. And your hands will go to one side, but the hips and the head go in the opposite direction. So just try that. You come to center, you come up a little bit straighter, and then you sink down as you go to the other side. Standing upright, it's very good to strengthen your knees and your hips and your back to the other side. So hands push out on their own. Head and hips to the opposite side. Dragon's all about flexibility and resilience in body and in mind as well. So we're over the kind of more the upper dantian position here. And then we go towards the heart and the hands point forwards as we go that level. Looking at kind of working through the position of the three pleasures here. We'll do two at each level. Hands first down just in front of the dantian or the sea of energy just below the navel there. And coming up. Fingers facing forwards. And coming up, fingers facing up to the sky. All right. Now we're going to gather some energy into the dragon to work with. So you're almost putting your head on your hands, popped into the side. And then you circle in front of you, so gathering the energy from around you, bringing it back. Almost if you're just waking up, gathering, coming back. Gathering and coming back. Carry on in the same direction, going at the level of the waist, coming back, out, coming back in, down at the level of the pelvis, coming back, the lower dantian, coming back to the waist, still in the same direction, and up to the heart level. Leaning with your head on the opposite side, and out we go. Big circle gathering. heart, gathering into the heart level there. A little bit lower down. A little bit lower down. Fingers face down. Right, we go. Good for your knees. Fingers face forwards as we come up. And fingers face up as we come back to the top area. And from here, we're going to go into kind of, let's say, free fall, but free dragon swimming. The dragon's just going to go wherever he wants to go. So as you're doing this, it's not just an arm movement. You're looking at getting beautiful mobility through the spine. So there may be somewhere in your shoulders, on your spine, or your knees that is just a little bit stuck. And as you change your angles here, you get to just the right position that kind of unlocks a joint or helps to stretch a muscle. So just work into whatever areas you feel are a little bit tatty or a little bit stagnant. I've got stuff behind my right shoulder blade that needs some work. So just by lifting it up and stretching a little bit really helps. So just finding what needs to be done as the dragon is doing this. And then coming all the way down as well. And slowly work your way up. Right up to the top, up on your toes. And down. And let's do a little bit of shaking. So tonight we won't do any sounds. We'll just clear with a really long out breath through the mouth and just shake whatever needs to be shake or shooken in your body, in through the nose and out through the mouth. And relax. Good. Go into one or two flows. So flows, really just floating with the breath, floating with the energy. And let's keep that nice and easily streamlined and opening the flow. So hands float up on the breath, the in-breath, hands coming up last, and hands coming down last. Breathing in through the nose and breathing out through the nose. Through the nose and out through the nose. Feel your whole body rocking with this. Feel as if you've got ribbons floating off your fingers with the breeze. Feel that your big fingers are becoming a little bit warmer as you work in the energy here. Maybe a little bit of tingling in your fingers. That's great. And it doesn't matter if you get a little bit of side to side movement with this as well. It's fine. And from there, we're going to go straight into soaring crane. So we're going to come up and we're going to open our hands facing the ground. Open, open, open. Space for your heart, space for your lungs. Chin tucked in, elbow tucked in. Thumb and first finger come together. And as you come forward, round your back, opening the space between your shoulder blades. And just the recoil of the movement takes you back out again. Flying over the mountains, over the sea, wherever you're flying. taking no energy. It's just the elastic recoil of your body that opens. And because we've been working the body and loosening it up, there's very little resistance to the movement. So flying always gives us a sense of perspective in our lives, a sense of levity, no matter how tricky things are. Just allows us to rise a little bit above it and see things differently. Now allow your arms just to come down a little bit lower, stretching slightly down and coming back in. So we're opening the lower part of the lungs, huge blood supply in the lower part of the lungs, so we get more air in when we're doing this. Hands to your sides. Feeling the connection, your connection to gravity with your hands, but feeling connection to gravity also with your feet, rooting down. So the energy of the earth is gravity. We call it a yin energy. And then slowly allow your arms to float up, still feeling that you actually have to pull up against gravity to move up. And as you get your shoulders a big turn, open your hands, opening your hands with the center of the palm as your gong facing up to the sky. Fingers stretching out onto either side of you. And then coming up. Soften your tailbone and let your head lift up. Stretching up, feeling that you're stretching up to the energy of the stars, the music of the stars there. And then as you allow your hands to sink down, feel as if you're combing through your own biomagnetic field, which you are doing actually. And just everything is kind of just in a good space. So feeling the ground. This opening at the center is representative of reaching out into the world, into nature, people around us, the weather, the trees, the animals. And then this is the source of yang for us, the sun and the stars coming down, and just feel you're standing under a waterfall and just cleansing through your mind, your emotions, and your strong body. And one more out to the side, feeling the pull of gravity, feeling you reaching out into either side, into nature and community, and then up as the stars to any other wisdom that might be a little bit beyond us, but can influence us if we're open to it. And slowly down till your hands come together, one on top of the other, just below your navel, on your lower dantian. And close your eyes. Just notice how your balance changes through your feet. Balance is very dynamic. We go in and out of balance all the time. Notice the temperature of the air on your skin, touch of your clothes. Notice your breath. You may notice it as it comes in through the nose or as it swells the belly, going into the diaphragm place. Allow your jaw to soften, space between your eyebrows. And just have a moment of gratitude just for being in the safe place that you're in. And drop your hands. Open your eyes and just always nice to take a couple of steps before you rush off and do anything else. Just coming back to different way of being in the world. Thank you for coming to Qigong this evening, and have a good week.